Should the United States help Saudi Arabia build a nuclear energy program? In July 2026, news broke that the Trump administration had signed a cooperation agreement with the Saudi government. While both sides insist it's a routine commercial arrangement, it still raises serious questions. So, what exactly lies behind the agreement, and will it be a source of security in the Middle East at large, as some argue, or fuel even greater instability? In international relations, the decision to share nuclear technology has always gone far beyond energy. From the start of the atomic era, a great power's decision to share reactors, fuel, or expertise with a smaller state has carried far wider significance. The same technology that can be used to generate electricity can, under the right circumstances, also be used to build a weapon. This inevitably means that every nuclear cooperation agreement bears strategic symbolism, whether openly acknowledged or not. Conversely, the supply of nuclear technology can become a vital source of leverage for the great power. This is precisely the tension surrounding the nuclear cooperation deal between the United States and Saudi Arabia. While Washington insists it's a commercial and strategic arrangement designed to keep Russian or Chinese competitors at bay, few view it in such narrow terms. Given Riyadh's repeated warnings that it may pursue nuclear weapons if nearby Iran does so as well, and that others may then follow, many worry about the significance of this agreement. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia dominates the Arabian Peninsula. With a population of roughly 36 million, it's bordered to the north and northwest by Iraq and Jordan, and to the north and east by the Gulf states of Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Oman. To the south lies Yemen, and to its west lies the Red Sea. Overwhelmingly Sunni Muslim, it's home to Islam's two holiest sites, Mecca and Medina, and is governed by an absolute monarchy under the House of Saud. While its economy remains heavily dependent on oil exports, which have made it one of the wealthiest countries in the world, the country's crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, who effectively rules the kingdom given the king's ill health, has outlined a vision to diversify into tourism, technology and education. More controversially, he's also been pressing for the development of nuclear energy, partly to meet rising domestic electricity demand and partly to preserve its oil, which remains a key source of the country's revenue. The relationship between Washington and Riyadh dates back to the end of the Second World War, when the two countries established what would become a vitally important partnership for them both. In return for reliable oil supplies, the US would guarantee the kingdom's security. This arrangement has essentially continued since then, despite numerous significant challenges. These included the September 11 attacks, which were masterminded and carried out by Saudi nationals. But while the relationship with Saudi Arabia remains a central pillar of American foreign policy, it's nevertheless changed significantly in recent years. While Washington still wants Saudi oil, Riyadh has been increasingly keen to secure American help to build a nuclear energy program. But while Washington has been broadly open to the idea, successive US administrations have nevertheless had serious reservations. First, there are concerns that this could pave the way for further nuclear proliferation in the Middle East region. As far back as 2018, Mohammed bin Salman had openly stated that if Iran ever acquired a nuclear weapon, Saudi Arabia would try to do so too. Many worry that a civilian nuclear program might be repurposed to achieve that goal. And if Saudi Arabia got a nuclear weapon, the fear was that others would inevitably follow. Secondly, progress on the issue has been linked to another key US foreign policy objective, Saudi recognition of Israel. In 2020, the Trump administration brokered the Abraham Accords, which normalised relations between Israel and several Arab states. However, although Saudi Arabia was already building ties with Israel, Riyadh refused to formally recognise the country without progress towards a final settlement with the Palestinians. This position has hardened since the 7th of October 2023, when Israel responded to a Hamas attack by launching a devastating war against Gaza that's left tens of thousands dead. But despite the apparent impasse, everything changed in July 2026 when the US Energy Secretary Chris Wright and the Saudi Energy Minister Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman signed what is known as a 123 agreement, named after the section of the US Atomic Energy Act that governs the export of civilian nuclear technology. Hailed by the Trump administration as a historic multi-billion-dollar partnership that will limit proliferation by keeping out Russian and Chinese competitors, the deal has nevertheless been criticised for lacking the safeguards found in other such deals. These include a bar on Saudi Arabia from enriching uranium or reprocessing spent fuel, a key element of a nuclear weapons programme. But while the news has been greeted with concern by many observers, it's less than clear whether it will in fact come into force anytime soon, if at all. Just a day after the news broke, President Trump insisted that the deal depended upon Saudi Arabia joining the Abraham Accords, something that wasn't mentioned when the agreement was signed. Given Riyadh's strong position on this issue, one or other side will have to give ground. Meanwhile, the agreement must also pass a 90-day congressional review. But while lawmakers could, at least in theory, block it by passing a joint resolution of disapproval, this will require a 2/3 majority to prevent a subsequent presidential veto. This would seem an impossibly high bar, given that congressional Republicans have consistently shown that they're loath to oppose Trump. I hope you're finding this interesting. If so, please do give it a like and perhaps subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Many thanks, and now back to the video. So, should the US go ahead with the deal? Supporters argue that keeping Saudi Arabia's nuclear ambitions within an American-led framework makes sense. Riyadh clearly intends to pursue civilian nuclear energy. If Washington doesn't help it, it will instead turn to others. In the worst-case scenario, this could be Russia or China. Aside from increasing Moscow and Beijing's leverage in Riyadh, the safeguards could well be significantly weaker. Meanwhile, tying the deal to the normalisation of relations with Israel would also carry benefits from Washington's perspective. Aside from winning over a key Muslim state, it would formally end any nominal Saudi threat to Israel, making the decision to pass on nuclear technology less threatening. All the while, as the US war in Iran continues, much to Saudi Arabia's concern, the deal further strengthens US-Saudi ties at a critical moment. And of course, none of this takes into consideration the familiar suggestions that have been made that Trump may be benefiting personally from the arrangement. But critics see things very differently. Arms control specialists have warned that without an explicit ban on enrichment and reprocessing, and without Saudi Arabia agreeing to regular international inspections, the agreement leaves the door open to a facility that could, over time, produce weapons-grade material. This worry is further compounded by Saudi Arabia's Mutual Defence Pact with Pakistan, which has considerable nuclear weapons expertise. To add to all this, there are the fears that it could well encourage proliferation. If Saudi Arabia does develop nuclear energy, other neighbours may well follow suit. And in each case, the fear that it could be used to build a weapons programme would inevitably follow. But for now, the clock is ticking on a final decision. If Congress allows the 90-day review period to lapse without a disapproval resolution, the agreement will be set to take effect on the administration's terms. At that point, if Saudi Arabia refuses to normalise relations with Israel, Trump will have to decide whether he wants the deal to go through or whether he will hold firm and block it. Ultimately, the issue is far from straightforward. While many would argue that there's a pragmatic political case for going through with it and stopping others from potentially moving in, there are also very strong regional and international security arguments for holding off. Either way, the decision could have huge effects on the Middle East for decades to come and potentially reshape US relations with one of its most important strategic partners. I hope you found that useful. If so, here are some more videos that you might find interesting. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one.